Assalamu alaikum. This is Abdul Shahid from Quranic Connection TV, and welcome back to the Daily Quran Challenge. Now, in this episode, we are talking about the verse of the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells you that sometimes it's better to be alone. Like, who likes to feel lonely? No one likes to feel lonely. But you know, sometimes in our lives, like, we go through periods where we're feeling like we're alone, like everyone else, the whole world is doing something else, the whole world is into something else, and we're like on our own journey. And sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to you that that's a good thing. Now, in this verse of Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says,
وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمُ اتَّبِعُوا مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ قَالُوا بَلْ نَتَّبِعُ مَا أَلْفَيْنَا عَلَيْهِ آبَاءَنَا أَوَلَوْ كَانَ آبَاؤُهُمْ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ شَيْئًا وَلَا يَهْتَدُونَ.
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in this verse that if it is said to them, إِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمُ اتَّبِعُوا مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ, if it is said to them, follow that which Allah has revealed to you, they say, بَلْ نَتَّبِعُ مَا أَلْفَيْنَا عَلَيْهِ آبَاءَنَا, rather we're going to follow what we found our forefathers upon. And that is the biggest problem that most of humanity has, is that they just follow whatever it is that the people are doing. And in this situation, like, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you that you are better off by yourself. Like, why are you better off by yourself? You know, sometimes, like, you're trying to do good. You're doing whatever it is that you are trying to do to please Allah, and the people, they criticize you. Or the people, they're doing something, they're not even saying anything to you, but you feel as though you're alone in what you're doing. Sometimes, like, you're the only person trying to do this, and everyone else is doing something else. And you know, most of the time, you'd feel as though that's the wrong thing to do, because, you know, everyone is going this way and you're going this way. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells you that this is one of the root problems for why humanity have gone astray, why they're not worshipping Allah, why they're not fulfilling their purpose, and why we end up doing things that harm us. Like, why do we end up, Allah tells us specifically why, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا يعقلون شيئا ولا يهتدون. Like, they don't use their intellect. Like, Allah in this verse, like, the telling thing is, Allah could have said لا يعلمون or لا يفهمون, لا يتفكرون. Like, they don't know, they don't think, they don't understand, they don't reflect. But Allah didn't say that. Allah used the verb here, يعقلون. يعقلون is from the root aql. Aql is the intellect. And Allah is telling us that the reason that they end up following the masses, following the status quo, is because they don't use their intellect. Like, if everyone else does it, they will do it. So do you find yourself in a situation sometimes that everyone is doing something that you think that you shouldn't be doing? Like, maybe you're at university and everyone's going to a party and everyone's telling you, come along. And what do? Like, you're saying to yourself, no, like, I can't go. Why are you saying no, I can't go, when everyone else is doing it? Because you know, you're using your intellect, and you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you that these are the things that are going to lead you to like harm. It's going to harm you in this dunya, it's going to harm you in the akhirah. And the thing is, the verses that came prior to this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان. Like, don't follow the footsteps of the shaitan, don't follow the path of shaitan. And then, like, immediately after this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, like, follow the revelation, because the revelation is the guidance. And the problem is that you and I, we find ourselves in situations where everyone else is doing something that, you know, they find acceptable. They find it acceptable. Maybe it's the current fashion. Maybe it's the behavior of the people at that time. But you know, the thing is, from time to time, the fashion changes. What's acceptable changes. What's acceptable today may not be acceptable tomorrow. But if you go along with the people, and you're always doing what's acceptable according to the people, then you end up following the status quo. And the status quo is, if you want to achieve success, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you that don't follow the status quo. Don't follow, like, the people just for the sake of following them, because that's what you found the people doing. Now, Allah in this verse is talking about the mushrikeen, the polytheists. What do they say? Allah says, worship Allah, like, follow the guidance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent you. But instead, they say, no, we're going to follow that which we found our forefathers on, that which we found our parents upon, our grandparents were upon. Are you telling me that my father was wrong? Are you telling me that my grandparents were wrong? Are you telling me that they're in the hellfire? That's the kind of stuff that they would have said. The mushrikeen, they rejected the revelation. They rejected it. And why? Why did they reject it? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, because they were following the things that they found before them, which is what the majority of people are following. And secondly, la ya'qilun. Like, they don't use their intellect. Like, do you use your mind to decide? See, there's this notion there's this notion of blind following, which in Islam is permissible. Like, blind following meaning like a child has to blind follow the parents. The child has absolute trust in the parents and blindly follows them. If the parents tell them to do something, the child does that thing. Whether it's good or wrong, good or bad, the child has no idea. The child has no benchmark. The parents are setting that benchmark for them by showing them the way. Now, that child will only remain like that for a short time. They will blindly follow the parents until they reach an age where they can use their intellect. And when they reach their age of intellect, then they begin to use their own intellect. And at that stage, you find that the child has a different opinion to the father, right? And the child will say, no, I think we should do this because of X, Y, Z. And he'll present an argument like why he shouldn't have to put his socks on. And the child has his own reasoning, and the child will present a case to the father to say. Now, at this age, like this example, what does it teach us? It teaches us that, look, we blindly follow, meaning that we follow those who we trust until like we reach a time of reflection, a time of contemplation. When you like blind following is not permanent. Like, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it like an obligation upon us not to permanently blind follow. Allah has given us the ability to do that so that we can best serve our own interests. Like, we don't know how to eat, we don't know how to dress, but our parents do that for us. And then when we come of age, then we think for ourselves, we learn how to do it ourselves, and that's the key, we learn how to do it. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about these people, the mushrikeen, what do? Allah says, follow the guidance. And they say we're going to follow that which we found the people who came before us. Like, look at everyone around us. Everyone else is doing what I'm doing, and you're telling me to do something else. And instead, like, what do? They just follow whatever they find. They follow the status quo. They follow the dominant culture, and sometimes the dominant culture is actually totally against what you're doing. Like, what Allah commands us to do, the dominant culture is against it. But then if you do what the dominant culture is telling you to do, what the people are doing, just so that you can fit in, then you will end up being on the khutuwat shaitan. Like, because look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, cover your awrah. Cover your awrah. Like, Allah says it, why? To protect you, to protect society at large. Cover your awrah. And the status quo, the dominant culture, is telling you, don't cover it. In fact, if you want to feel free, uncover yourself. And this is one of the tricks of Shaitan. The Shaitan has tricked the dominant culture. The Shaitan has tricked the people into believing that that's freedom and that's protection. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that protection comes in obedience to Allah. And Allah only gives us commands in order to help us. So the most important thing that you can take from this episode is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you that sometimes it's okay to be by yourself. Sometimes it's okay to feel like you're not doing what everyone else is doing. And the truth is, like, if you look at Ibrahim alayhi salam, like, he was one man, an ummah by himself. An ummah by himself. Like, the people, they didn't follow him. They all rejected him. Like, what he said was completely opposing to what the people said. The entire society rejected him. But the thing is, who was right? And we know from Revelation that Ibrahim alayhi salam was right. And the reward of that was what? That he was the most beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala named him Khalilullah, like the close friend of Allah. Like, why? Because he stuck by that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not give humanity anything except that it is good for them. Allah won't prevent them from anything except that it's bad for them. So the thing is, like, sometimes it's okay. Like, if you're feeling alone because you're trying to stick to your deen, you're trying to hold on to your deen, then know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you that that's a good thing. And if you look throughout the ages, like all the different examples, people, they found themselves by themselves. They felt lonely, and sometimes loneliness is a good thing. Why? Because what do you do when you become lonely? You don't have people around you. So what do? You turn to the one who's always with you, who always supports you, who always gives you everything that you need, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you can never be alone. If you are with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can never be alone. So sometimes it's okay to be alone, and sometimes it's okay to be lonely. And the thing is, if you find yourself following Allah, following the commands of Allah, and the people are against you, they're advising you to stop, and the Shaitan, they come to us from all angles. If you find yourself in that situation, know that you're not alone. The truth is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with you all the way, and Allah will give you everything you need. Allah will never let you down. Allah will never let you down. And all you need to know is that as long as you follow that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you, then you are on the right path, and you are on the right way. And there's always others out there like you. All you need to do is connect to them. But sometimes that loneliness is a good thing, because that loneliness drives us back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It drives us to connect to the one who will enrich our lives with everything that we need. And so it's okay. That's what I'm saying. It's okay to be alone. It's okay to feel lonely, and that feeling of loneliness, when it comes to you, don't think that Allah has abandoned you, because Allah will never abandon you. So stick to what you're doing, and stay with that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained for you, because that is going to give you the highest success in this dunya before the akhirah. So inshallah, I'm going to leave you that. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.